Well, one of my spiritual and aesthetic fantasies came true yesterday as I arrived at Mont Saint-Michel. Though I had been a student for 3 years in France and traveled pretty widely, I never made it out here to the Normandy coast where this magnificent place is. But we arrived yesterday with our Word on Fire team, and I first saw it actually from many, many miles away, way across the plains. It looked like a little ship on the horizon. As you get closer, of course, it becomes more and more impressive. And I just been musing a lot about it. We filmed there today, but I've been thinking a lot about this place and what it means spiritually. What keeps coming back to me is the idea of the edge. It's a place that's very much on the edge, first of all, of Europe. So keep in mind, those who built this never imagined the New World existed. As far as they were concerned, this was the edge of the world. And part of that is, Jesus said, preach the gospel to the ends of the world. I've told that story before about my mentor, Cardinal Francis George, and his brothers in the Oblates of Mary Immaculate when they went to the furthest outpost in the Yukon till they finally came to a village where people said, nope, there are no more people. And at that point, they knew they had preached to the ends of the world. Well, there's something of that here, I think. It's a monument to the gospel having reached the ends of the world. But there's more to the idea of the edge, too. Think of how all of Christianity is meant to bring us in a way to the edge of our ordinary experience so that we look out into the transcendent. So think of our sacraments, think of the liturgy, think of our art, think of the lives of the saints. They're all meant to bring us to the point where we say, there's something more than this world. I've spoken too a lot about Charles Taylor's idea of the buffered self. So many people in our secular world, and that's unique almost in the history of mankind, that you have a lot of people now that live in a kind of buffered space, buffered from any contact with the transcendent. Well, see, in a way, the point of Christianity is to break through the buffered self, or to state it differently, to bring people, maybe even kicking and screaming, to the edge. That's why, it's funny to me that sometimes people will, criticize Christians as, these kind of namby-pamby, play it safe kind of people like Ned Flanders. But the point of authentic Christianity is to draw us out of our ordinary experience to the edge that we might look into the transcendent. Well, think of this place behind me. How all the lines of the architecture, that wonderful pile on top of this promontory, is drawing you up. Then when you get out there, we were up there today at the very top, and you look out to the open sea. Well, heck, from Plato to Dante to James Joyce, the open sea is meant to evoke the transcendent, the goal of the mind and the heart. And so this whole place is edgy in that sense. Here's a last thought. If you go to the very tip top of this structure, you'll see a depiction of St. Michael the Archangel. And of course, it's called Mont Saint-Michel, Mount St. Michael. Well, who's Michael but the fighter angel, right? Michael, who is like God. That was his challenge to Lucifer. So he stands for the forces of righteousness battling the forces of darkness. Well, go back now to the medieval mind. The Western horizon, if you want, was evocative of the dark powers because that's where the sun went down. That's why so many of the great churches are oriented, right? They face toward the east. Well, this one faces down the west. And at the top of the building is the fighter angel. It stands, if you want, this great fortress behind me. It doesn't look like a fortress. This great fortress of the fighting church as it faces down the powers of darkness, both visible and invisible. So I think for all those reasons, this place was built on the edge, and it remains there, I think, beguiling, mystical, transcendent, mysterious. And it still, I think, serves this function of bringing us, in a good sense, to the edge.